One thing that has truly changed over the last 100 years is the way people travel. I recently acquired a tourist booklet from 1948 titled Canada Steamship Lines Presents the Detroit-Duluth Cruise for the 1948 season. I find it really odd, especially the way the economy is right now, that cruise liners don't run on the Great Lakes anymore. It would be a really awesome alternative to not being able to take a vacation at all because you can't afford it. But through the 1950s, I believe, maybe even early 60s, I'm not sure, lake cruises of the Great Lakes were really very much in vogue. So I'm going to share with you images from this booklet, and I'm also going to read to you from the booklet, which is really quite fascinating. So without further, as they say, ado from me, I give you the Detroit-Duluth Cruise, 1948. Your first cruise is a vacation thrill you'll never forget. A week-long, fun-filled trip from Detroit to Duluth, or starting at Duluth if you like. 2, you can break your cross-country train trip with this refreshing chance for relaxation and amusement. Usual forms of transportation cannot compare with traveling lake liner over a gleaming blue water highway, where you can stretch comfortably in a deck chair, or move freely about from rail to top deck observation, dining room, to well-appointed cabins. Aboard the beautiful Noronic, you sweep steadily towards your destination without losing any of the time given over to entertainment and exercise. Enjoy walking a mile or two a day on shipboard in the invigorating water-fresh air. You can even include the water highway in your cross-country motor trip. If you board or disembark at Windsor across river from Detroit, as both Duluth and Windsor have facilities for handling your car. The Noronic, as well as her new sister ship to be built as soon as materials are available, is fast, luxuriously appointed, and almost 400 feet long, longer than many ocean liners, with 6 decks, accommodating as many as 550 passengers. The observation salon is a delightful gathering place, and there are music, writing, and smoking rooms, cocktail lounge, and gift shop. In port, buses may be taken at Duluth, Port Arthur, and Sarnia for sightseeing trips, or Shanksmere will do very nicely at most ports of call, since much of interest lies within easy walking distance of your ship. So you're underway on a trip to be remembered over beautiful inland seas, stopping at famous ports, part of the passing parade of ships that endlessly ply one of the most fascinating waterways of the world. Suppose Detroit, center of the motor industry, is your port of embarkation. You'll want to see a few of its points with pride, spots before your steamer casts off. Tall skyscrapers, humming factories, fine homes, parks, and boulevards. Belle Isle, with beautiful beaches and lagoons, and the Detroit River, busiest in the world, with its continuous stream of navigation. Lake St. Clair opens before us as we begin our cruise, and then narrows into the St. Clair River. Sarnia is our first stop, one of the oldest and busiest cities in Ontario, Canada, with the largest petroleum refinery of the British Empire, as well as foundries, steel and lumber mills, salt works, and a plant for producing synthetic rubber. Canatara Park is reached by bus from Sarnia for a gay beach picnic, your first chance to get acquainted with your shipmates. Early evening, our ship steams out into beautiful Lake Huron, far out of the sight of land. The Detour Light is sighted next, guiding us to the mouth of the St. Mary's River. Detour is named by the French the turning, for our ship must now turn and wind through the wild and beautiful St. Mary's River for 40 miles until finally we pass Sugar Island and sail through Hay Lake. Sault Ste. Marie, over 200 years old, where in 1668 Pierre Marquette established among the Indians the first Jesuit mission of the Midwest. All night sounds the whistles of ships passing through the locks, the largest locks in the world, It has 2 canal systems, Canadian and American, and through them, in 8 months, passed 3 times as many vessels as passed through the entirely through either the Panama or Suez Canal during the course of an entire year. From the deck, you may have an excellent view of these great canals 1.5 miles long, and the locks which lift the ships 21 feet from the level of Lake Huron to that of Lake Superior. Out into Whitefish Bay, and on to remote, majestic Superior, the world's greatest lake, which it takes all night to cross. Its waters are 1,300 feet at deepest sounding, and the bottom lies 300 feet below sea level. The sleeping giant, known in legend as the body of Hiawatha turned to stone, is in full view next morning as we glide into Thunder Bay and approach Port Arthur and Fort Williams, Canada's twin cities, each year shipping 300 million bushels of grain. The invigorating and healthful climate affords immediate relief to hay fever sufferers. Quebeca Falls, 23 miles west of Port Arthur, may be reached over a beautiful highway, and ample time is provided for this side trip. In the evening, your lake liner leaves for Duluth, and another long northern sunset provides a dramatic interlude. Duluth, busy and bustling, is a port second in tonnage to New York alone, and its aerial bridge is the only structure of its kind in America. Beautiful Boulevard Drive may be visited on a 2-hour sightseeing trip for which buses leave the steamer's dock. And throughout the voyage, continually passing, you see ships of all kinds. In the glittering sunlight and in the soft dark night, grain and ore boats, freighters, the boats of fishermen and of sportsmen, ships that are part of the never-ending traffic over this important inland waterway. Strenuous or lazy, or a happy in-between, you'll find that the Lake Liner cruise offers a well-rounded pattern of daily activity under the leadership of a qualified cruise director who points out every opportunity for amusement on this fun-packed voyage. One-way travelers are free to take part in all cruise activities. The first day out of Detroit, he's busy with plans to get you into the swing and better acquainted with your shipmates, and you'll find that making friends is especially easy in the informal atmosphere of shipboard life when you go Canadian or Canada Steamship. If swimming is your hobby, you'll have a chance to dip into the water as well as sail over it. Sarnia's Cantera Park has a fine beach, and sandy shallow bay at Chippewa Park near Fort William provides delightful bathing. Excellent golfing is available at Fort William's Thunder Bay Golf and Country Club upon presentation of membership cards of recognized golf clubs and payment of the usual green fees. Sightseeing trips through Duluth, Port Arthur, and Fort William, basking in the sun aboard ship or at one of the pleasant sports ashore, just plain loafing in a deck chair will pay dividends in well-being long after your cruise is a twice-told tale. The mile march to 6 times around the deck to peppy music ensures against too much deck chair lazying and adds to the appetite that probably needs no encouragement. In fact, the combination of inland sea, air, and excitement food is going to keep mealtime on your mind, and the observation dining room set high above the water makes it a special event. If you'd rather dance and eat, you might be tempted to switch your enthusiasm, except that there's no need to make a choice. Dancing after dinner to the tempting rhythms of your ship's orchestra will provide plenty of a chance to indulge your hobby. Music is woven into the background of your whole cruise. Popular dance tunes, the stirring mile march rhythms, concerts every evening for lovers of the classics, and a community sing-song when you feel like hearing your own melody ring out over the water. Camera fans grow prodigal with precious film as so many wonderful subjects pass their lenses, and even the rank amateur should not forget his little box for a permanent record of a happy vacation cruise. Horse racing and deck games are amusing for those who go for just the right combination of luck and skill, and will pass the time all too quickly. A masquerade ball with King Neptune holding court is only fun when everyone comes in costume, so don't fail to pack something out of this world to make it a never-forget event on the last night out. Shopping has become a universal pastime, and travelers from the States will welcome the chance to buy some lovely Canadian handiwork or china, wool or linen at Sarnia and the Canadian Twin Cities, and Duluth and Detroit may offer some items of interest to their neighbors from Canada. Remember, you can bring back across the border as much as $100 worth duty-free. The ship's gift shop has a select assortment of unusual items from which to choose, remembrances for the folks back home. You may hate to think of using up much of your precious time asleep, but after busy days, when you return to find your comfortable cabin flooded with cool water fresh air, you'll lose interest for a time in everything but your undisturbed dreams. Whether you occupy a minimum cabin or a deluxe stateroom, you'll be delighted with your accommodations and find that going CSL is an experience in travel comfort. Soft but firm, these are the best of mattresses on either berth or bed, plenty of pillows, if you like them, all the warm blankets you need, and you will need them for even summer nights are bracing on the Great Lakes, and fresh, fine quality sheets. Well-planned space for hanging apparel makes for great convenience in staterooms, and the smaller cabins are also provided with generous, well-lighted mirror and plenty of hangers. Private bath or running hot water and cold is a much appreciated convenience and is available according to the type of accommodations chosen. A touch of the button near the door will bring immediate and courteous room service by the steward on duty, should you need ice water, extra towels, or a late evening snack brought in. A shutter arrangement provides privacy and at the same time allows the wonderful inrush of lake air that you'll thoroughly enjoy. And complete service is given, of course, in the early part of the day so that your room is fresh and orderly headquarters in which to prepare for your many exciting shipboard activities. For real enjoyment of every minute, you need not many but well-chosen clothes and accessories to fit in with the gracious informality of comfortable shipboard life. Your best choice will be lightweight woolens from which the wrinkles shake out, and crease-resistant jerseys, a suit for trips ashore, and the mile march apparel to suit your special brand of active sports. Something on the dressy side for concerts and dancing, a bathing suit, and don't forget that masquerade costume to carry off the prize. A snug coat is really a must for cool northern nights, and it would be a wise choice if styled to go with everything from slacks to dressy wear. Sweaters are the best choice for carrying ashore, light and easy to carry, non-wrinkling, and mighty nice to have around when the lake breeze springs up. Footwear should be carefully considered to include something sturdy enough for tramping around the decks, or sightseeing strolls on trips ashore, as well as the usual dancing and play shoes. A sunburn preventative and some good protective glasses are a real necessity out where the sun is so brilliantly reflected off the water, and of course don't forget your favorite type of headgear to protect your hair from sun and wind. Golf clubs, binoculars, cameras, and fountain pen should take their places in your luggage. Postcards from across the border are always a thrill for your friends, so remember, think carefully about what you'll need, but be sure to travel light. Too much luggage creates confusion and takes up extra time. The waters you now ride as a highway free to enjoy your choice of amusements were once traversed by Chippewa chief Kitchi Whiskey, who paddled his canoe from Duluth across Lake Superior through the winding St. Mary's River and down Lake Huron, past Detroit and over Lake Erie to Buffalo, where he tethered it to an overhanging tree and walked on to Washington to a congressional conference on Indian affairs. In 1854, there were 7 shanties where the lovely city of Duluth now stands. It is still very close to the wild country beyond it, forest fires having driven deer into the streets, and one crisp fall morning in 1933, a full-grown black bear, straight out of the woods, smelled breakfast bacon sizzling at the Hotel Duluth, and made his way into the hotel kitchen. Hiawatha, of course, is a familiar friend of lovers of early American lore and legend, and Paul Bunyan, the huge woodsman, hero of many of the tall tales of the lumbering days of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota. He outgrew his cradle before he was a week old, had hotcakes made of buffalo milk and ostrich eggs. 100 years ago, men had not made the great locks which speed the traffic of the world on its way, and a man named Achille Cadotte hauled the schooner Algonquin as though he were moving a house, with a set of rollers, a horse, and a capstan over what is now Water Street in Sault Ste. Marie. It took 3.5 months to make that mile-long trip, and finally the Algonquin slid into the cold waters of Lake Superior, the first of a fleet of 15 that sailed on land before the first canal was completed in 1855, and the Sault became a world traffic center. On Friday, aboard 9:30 p.m., settle in stateroom and be on deck by 11 p.m. to watch Detroit fade into the distance as your lake liner heads into Lake St. Clair. Saturday, docking Sarnia, Canada, the ship's company is off to the gay beach picnic with bathing and golf if you like, but aboard the late afternoon, wonderful dinner and a get-together followed by community singing, horse racing, dancing, and finally refreshing sleep far out on cool, quiet Lake Huron. Sunday, in the morning, through narrow channels between wooded islands, your lake liner approaches the Sault. You may go ashore at Sault Ste. Marie, then the spectacular 21-foot lift through the locks and into Lake Superior. Mass for any wishing to attend. Monday, on deck early to see Thunder Bay and Mount McKay, last of the Laurentian Mountains, dock Port Arthur, sightseeing, shopping, or a trip to Kakabika Falls. And on Tuesday, into Duluth before breakfast, and a day to visit the beautiful, bustling seaport for half the world's grain. Back to the ship for lunchtime, your afternoon is free. 30-mile trip over Boulevard Drive is suggested. From Duluth, sailing the late afternoon, excellent dinner. Next day, see Canada's Twin Cities on your own. Back on ship, mile march, music, dancing. Next day, the thrilling passing the Sault. A couple of hours in port, then wending through the St. Mary's River, sail down Lake Huron, and a gay wind-up, the exciting masquerade party. Last day, Friday, morning ashore at Sarnia, farewell luncheon, cruise-ins in mid-afternoon at Detroit. Those who embark at Duluth may dine aboard at Windsor. Be free to disembark for sightseeing during the evening. Leave Windsor 9:30 p.m. Friday for Detroit and return trip to Duluth. And that's about it from our booklet called Over the Deep Canadian Steamship Lines. Hope you've enjoyed this trip through the wonderful waters of the Great Lakes. It's been an incredible place to live my whole life. Also, you'll want to check out my upcoming video titled My Senior Cruise, which documents a special cruise aboard the same SS Noronic, but it was specially planned for seniors in school. The individual who took the trip, for which I'm going to be reading to you about, is Shirley Ann Bodhane of St. Charles, Michigan. So be looking for that. This is pretty interesting.